everybody, and welcome to Mr. Pascual's music class. For part 2 of reading music, we are going to learn how to read 2 notes on the staff. We're going to learn how to read D and E on the musical staff. Let's get started. Okay, grab your music whiteboard, and we're going to be using this side, the side with the 2 staves and the symbols in front of your staves. Okay, grab your whiteboard, grab your marker, and let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about on this page are these symbols. Now, these symbols are called clefs, and there's different types of clefs in music, and the clefs tell you what musical language you're going to be reading. Violins have a clef, they have their own clef. Violas have their own clef, and cello players, you guys have your own clef too. Now, this clef, each clef has a different name. Yours, and go ahead and do what I'm doing, label your clef, point to your clef and label it. We're going to label it with its name. This clef is called the bass clef. So let's go ahead and do that. Bass clef. Now, like I said, the bass clef tells you what musical language you're going to be reading. And bass clef is usually used for instruments that play really low notes. And cello can play really low. Okay, so 2 more vocabulary words that we need to get out of the way before we start. The first one is going to be bar line. Now, we're going to draw bar lines to help us make sections in the music. And it's super simple. It's just a line. It starts from line 5 of the staff all the way down to line 1. And that's what a bar line is. And we're going to draw 3 of them because we want 3 sections. So watch me first. You want nice even sections because we're going to be writing notes in each of the sections. And we want enough space to write those notes. Each section needs to fit 4 notes. So try to even it out. And try to, once we start writing notes, try to write a little small and neatly. Okay, so those are bar lines. That was our second key term. Now our last key term is measure or measures. Now a measure is it's super simple. It's just a section of music. This is the first section. This is the second section. And this is the third section. So bar lines help us make sections, or bar lines help us make measures. Okay? And musicians like to number their measures so they always know where they are in the music. So we're going to number our measures just like real musicians. And the measure number goes on top of the measure and at the beginning of the measure. So this is measure 1, and go ahead and copy me. This is measure 2. And this is measure 3. Excuse me. So we have 3 measures, we have our bar lines, we have our bass clef, and we're good to go. We're ready to go. I'm going to be using these words a lot. So keep them in your brain, and the more we use them, the easier it is for us to get to know them. Okay, so now let's get on with writing our notes. Like I said in the beginning, we are going to focus on learning how to read 2 notes today. D, our D string, and E. So let's start with D. Now, in the last video, we talked about line notes and space notes, and we numbered our lines and we numbered our spaces, so you should be good. You should know all the line numbers and all the space numbers. Note D always goes on line 3. So grab your pen and be ready to copy me. I'm going to write a note head on line 3. And remember, a line note always gets cut in half, right? So make sure you're writing small and you're writing neatly. Because if you write sloppily, you're not going to be able to read your notes. So make sure you write a note on line 3. And then after I draw my note head, I'm going to draw my stem, and we're going to take the stem down like that. So a note on line 3 is always note D. And we're going to label that note just to remind ourselves. Note D. So go ahead and do that. Let me grab the cello real quick. So remember, whenever you see a note on line 3 on the staff, that's going to tell you to play your D string. Note D. Okay? So that's note D. Now the note that comes after D is E. And when you go in order, note by note by note, the notes get higher and higher and higher. So on the staff, you're going to see the notes go higher, higher, kind of like a staircase. So we have D, and E is coming next. So E is going to be higher on the staff. After a line note comes a space note. So E, let me change the color. E is going to be in space 3. So we're going to draw a note head in space 3. Once you have your note, your neat note in space 3, we're going to take the stem down. And we're going to label that. Note E. Okay, and let's finish this measure. After this E, I want another D. So my note D on line 3, bring the stem down. And the last note I want is E. Space 3. Bring the stem down. And let's label. D, E. Okay, so we have D, E, D, E. Now let's do measure 2. For measure 2, I want 2 Ds and 2 Es. So D, D, E, E. And when I already know what notes I want in the measure, I like to start with drawing all the note heads first, because it lets me space out my notes. So why don't we do that? Let's draw our note heads first. I want 2 Ds. So that's a D on line 3. Another D, line 3. And now I want 2 Es. So an E in space 3. And another E in space 3. And once I'm done with all my note heads, I'll draw the stems. Bring the stem down, bring the stem down, bring the stem down, bring the stem down. Okay. And now let's do measure 3. We're not going to label those notes right now. Let's do measure 3. For measure 3, I want D, E, D, and then rest. So let's start with our note heads. D on line 3, E, and then D, and then I said a rest at the end. If you don't remember how to draw a rest, let's practice down here. Let's practice down here. So just watch me the first time. I'd like to say zig, zag, zig, and then loop at the end. So try it with me this time. Zig, zag, zig, loop. Let's try one more time. Here we go. Zig, zag, zig, and loop. Okay, so let's draw it in our measure 3. And when we draw rests in the measures, you always start on line 4. So that's where your first zig is going to come from. On line 4, zig, zag, zig, loop. Just like that. Okay, let's draw our stems. They go down. And we are done with our exercise. So we are actually going to play this together, so make sure you have your instrument ready. But first, I want to read it together. So let's get the metronome going. Feel the beat. We're going to read the notes together. Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, read with me. D, E, D, E, D, D, E, E, D, E, D, rest. Let's read it again. Ready, here we go. D, E, D, E, D, D, E, E, D, E, D, rest. Okay, grab your instrument. We're going to play it together this time. Okay. So it's kind of hard for me to show you my full instrument. Let me see if I can scoot back. Okay, I think that's good. So remember, we're playing Ds and first finger E's. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2. Here we play. D, E, D, E, D, D, E, E, D, E, D, rest. We're going to play it 2 more times. Here we go. Ready, here we go. D, E, D, E, D, D, E, E, D, E, D, rest. And one more time. Ready, here we go. D, E, D, E, D, D, E, E, D, E, D, rest. Great job, everybody. Okay, so here's your assignment for this week. So notice how we only labeled the first 4 notes. The first part of your assignment is to finish labeling the rest of the notes. So finish labeling measure 2 and measure 3. When you're done labeling, you're going to take a picture of your work, of your whiteboard, and you're going to post it on Seesaw. You're going to see a little box where to put your picture. So that's part 1. Part 2 is you're going to make a video on Seesaw and play this exercise with your instrument. And you can pluck. Just pluck it. When you're done making your video, you post it on Seesaw. There's a square for your video too. So 2 parts. First part, finish labeling all of the notes. Finish labeling these. Take a picture of your whiteboard. Post it on Seesaw. Part 2, make a video of yourself playing this exercise. Post it on Seesaw. Okay? And that is your assignment for this week. Until next time, have a great week. Have a nice day. Bye, everybody.